Hey guys, Xel'crin here, and today we're here to play yet another Killing Floor custom map, and today we're created with an interesting situation. This is one of the more recent ones by a map maker named Cookiecrisp. He's new to the community, it looks like. I previewed the description, and well, yeah, let's just sit here, and you guys count how long this takes to finish loading. Oh my god. We have a bit of a writer here. So, I don't want to just start talking, because I was trying to test it to see, and I would start talking, and this would just automatically start scrolling, and I got mad. So, yeah, okay, that's finally finished, so let's read it. You're being sent to discover what happened to Section 40C 6 Earth days ago. There was an office party being set up at the time of the incident. When they all finished, Zed started to appear out of nowhere, invading the whole section. All we know is that the original staff members who were meant to help out setting up the occasion were pardoned because the loners had their own crew. One of the members on Theo, I'm assuming that's a name, so it should be a capital T, right? Got it. Their hand must have worked for the Patriarch, as no one else was present during the time of preparation. You must go in and slay any Zeds on sight. If you manage to beat the Patriarch, as we assume he will show, we will send in a group of engineers to reroute all teleporters back to their original state and add a security measure just in case this might happen again. We're counting on you. Try to come back with your mission accomplished, or don't come back at all. Damn, these guys hate me. Like shit. Come back with your mission accomplished, or fuck you, you might as well be dead, pretty much, is what they're saying. Got it. Okay, so we have a situation where the guy has written a lengthy description, and I've gone off about descriptions before being good. Sometimes. The issue is this going to live up to it? That's the problem. A lot of these maps actually are literally nowhere near what they say they are. So, let's see how this is. Okay. Oh god, the frame rate. Okay. Why? Okay. That was just a little bit of a loading bug. It's... So at first, it looks nice, don't get me wrong. The star effect is actually... Cool. What did I just hear? There's quite literally no music. Okay. I'm going to say this real fast, and we're going to address this later before we start talking about the rest of the map, alright? The developer left up a huge, and I mean huge comment. Like, not super huge, like, I don't know, AAA level, like, 5-page essay huge. But he left up a pretty decent comment that we're going to have to read out at the end of this. He already knows a lot of these problems exist, right? Like, he knows there's a lack of music. He knows that there's some lighting issues, though I don't have any right now. Honestly, I feel it's pretty fine, to be honest. So I have to talk about that later. Basically, what I'm saying is we're going to talk about that later. I can say the lighting issue is this thing is literally invisible right now. That thing was literally invisible. That's a little scary. But, we'll address his comment at the end of this video, because I feel it is actually an important comment to address. You might have already picked up on, or if you're a longtime fan of this, you know probably exactly what I'm going to say about the comment, but, you know. But, back to the present. Right now, I like the look of this map. It's pretty cool. I think the star effect is a little bit, well, it's a little bit ridiculous, because you can clearly tell it's just kind of 2D. It's strange, though, because it's weird. I don't know how to word it. Like, I've never seen these kind of assets before, so I don't know if they were originally done. I don't know if he got them somewhere. I don't know how the design of it works, to be honest. So, the fact that I haven't seen them before, I'm pretty sure that it's kind of more original-ish assets, but I could be wrong. I know I've seen that rock or something before, I swear. So, some of this stuff, maybe not as original as I thought. I don't know. It is just a rock after all. But, that's weird. But what I want to say is, while stuff like this looks really cool, that sky thing looks really weird. Like, I don't really understand where we are. Like, are we supposed to be on a planet? Like, it explained the situation pretty in depth. Like, we're going in to do a bunch of stuff, basically. But like, if we're supposed to be on a planet, here's where I'm confused. A planet is not a sphere like this. It is, but it doesn't feel like a little freaking sphere. Like, let me show you what I mean. Like, let me put it to you this way. When I walk up to this, I'm gonna literally reach the end. It's like that fucking thing with the Earth being flat. Like, we're gonna touch this, right? We're gonna touch this. Can we go through it? No, we can't. It's a solid wall, right? So it's not a literal sky or anything. It's just a wall. It's just basically a wall. And while it looks pretty, it looks nice. I feel like we're basically in Undertale right now. I'm not even joking. I feel like those are actually pointy rots, shiny rock-ish things all around a giant-ass cave that just so happens to have grass and whatnot in it. We obviously now know where the Zeds spawn ridiculously. That's glorious. But, I feel like I'm in Undertale because I feel like those aren't really stars. Those are shiny rocks in the sky that just kind of glitter about. So, right off the bat, I think that's a problem. And you can tell, but then, here's the thing. He might be able to get away with that. He might have been able to say, oh yeah, that was always my intention. Except there's a fucking sun right there. Literally just painted on to the wall. So, yeah, you might want to invest in making it. Don't get me wrong, the theme looks cool. Now you just have to try and invest in turning it into an actual skybox looking thing rather than a wall. Because it's a wall. It's just a wall, that's all it is. And that is just painted onto the wall. That's all it is. You can tell. You can literally tell. You do not want to be able to tell what they are, to be honest. Like, if somebody can redo your map, you're doing something wrong. No offense. That's what I mean, basically. Random bed here. Hello, random bed. Like, I can already tell you how they did that. That's what I mean by that. To be fair, I do have a lot of experience when it comes to this stuff, but still, even as when I started out when I was 14 on here, I still probably would know that shit's a wall. Probably. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who have some video game knowledge would know that's a wall. So, I'd say, objectively, you should really invest in, either making it a three-dimensional skybox, like, you know, one of those normal skylines in most maps that we've played, at least on this channel, and just naturally in the normal maps. But you should invest in doing that, or you should probably highly consider changing the narrative and the theme for this area. Because, like I said, an underground-looking thing, that would look... This would work if that was the theme. But right now, because of the fact that this is supposed to be a planet, and it's perfectly spherical, and we can literally get to its end, and the end is literally just the sky, I feel there's a bit of a problem. Now, we have second problem number 2 already. Alright, I'm sorry about that. I had to address something. But anyway, so right away, we already have another problem. There's no trader here. There is no trader. I don't know where... If the trader was in here, I don't know where the hell it was. It was probably broken. So let me just make that a quick thing for myself by doing this. Okay, sorry. You guys probably didn't notice the change except for a giant frame rate stutter. That was me essentially just turning this into a separate clip. I do that. It's my new way of kind of knowing where to edit things rather than doing things in post and having to watch the entire video because that can take fucking ages. I tend to watch the majority of it, don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't put work into this stuff, but you know what I mean. Makes things easier in the editing process. But anyway. So I feel that, going back to what I said, you should either change the narrative of this map, this theme of it, the story of it. And I know you put a lot of work into it, I'm sure. But I'm just going to be honest here when I say this. I'm a writer. I write a lot of stuff myself. Trust me, I know how hard it can be. But when I read your description, probably it was like not even 1 or 2 paragraphs. Dude, you'll be okay. If you have to rechange the storyline for it, you'll be okay. It's okay. You'll live. But I understand it's more than just writing a description. An entire theme is basically the entire theme of the map. And I can definitely get a planetary vibe from this, but at the same time, I do definitely feel, in this case, you could change the narrative to be we're in an underground area or something. Because right now, the fact that there is a 2D wall that's just the end of the map is a little bit... Not 2D wall, but the sky is literally the end of the fucking map is a little bit ridiculous, if you ask me. Now, obviously that'd be the lazy way to fix the design theme choice here. But hey, it would work, and probably no one would ever know, to be honest. Or if they did know, they'd laugh it off as, oh, okay, he changed it, and now it makes more sense. People do that all the time. It's not really a bad thing. Sometimes themes just change. Sometimes your ideas change, and you say, fuck it. I had a good idea, but I want to change it now. Now, obviously, it's up to you if you do that or not. The second thing, like I said, just make a skybox. But anyway, I'm ranting on that too long. So, let's now address the lack of music. There's literally no music at all. Period, as I said. No matter what we're currently in, where we are, what we're doing, and all that. There's literally no music. And the developer, or I say developer because, I don't know. Technically, I mean map maker, but you know what I mean. I'm just going to use them interchangeably. God, I probably even said that wrong. I'm terrible, I know. But the map maker has addressed this. He already knows there's no music. And like I said, I'm going to address that at the end. So because I'm going to address that at the end of this video, I'm not going to say much on it. All I will say is it will come out in your score. So try and keep that in mind for the future. Just, yeah. But anyway, let's get this. Safe. This is going to come in here. Ooh, that, ooh. Okay, so while I think that's a cool design, you know my stance is on freebies. It's okay to have some freebies, but literally putting a freebie in a trader room, really? It's obvious you want the person to either rarely probably even use it, probably just get some extra money. Because as you saw, I just got some extra money. So I feel that's a little weird. This is weird. So this looks like a really cool thing we could potentially get in. Like that. But there is quite literally an invisible wall. So I'm going to say straight out right now, I have a personal bias against invisible walls and smaller maps to be 100% fair. But this isn't really a small map. It technically is, because there's little to it. But it's technically not. Just look at those meters for the trader. So I can't say necessarily that my bias stands for this for its map size. But my bias does definitely stand for invisible walls. You show a really cool feature, something that could be really cool. Like, for example, that looks really cool. I really kind of wanted to go in that. I've never really seen a thing like that, to be honest. Like, I've seen it somewhat in maps, but, like, thing you can actually go in that's kind of undergroundish is, I don't know, it just seems cool to me. Like, I was really kind of excited to be going in there. I'm like, woo! But, or mentally like that. You know, obviously I didn't actually say that because I'm me. But, I can't go in there, right? I can't. There's an invisible wall there. Now, normally I go with the argument that in most circumstances that could even kill me. And I think it still stands here. Because it looks like you can slip right in between these cracks. Watch, right? You're just like, ooh, we can slip. Oh, nope, nope, there's an invisible wall. Or you could just go, oh, I'm going to go up this thing. Nope, invisible wall. Okay, maybe I'll go right into it. Nope, you can't go for that invisible wall. That could actually kill somebody. I've almost had it happen multiple times in these maps. Luckily, I'm not playing on a higher difficulty, just normal is the correct way to test maps. I will literally say that that is objectively the correct way to test maps. Unless you're going for a hardcore element, in which case, well, you do you. But normal is quite literally the correct way to test maps. I've gone over this a million times. But anyway. I feel that could quite literally kill somebody if they're a lower level at this game, or if they just get swarmed. Like, they pay too much attention to, like, ooh, what's in there? I'm examining and looking at the cool features of this map. Oh, dead. That could fuck you over. Luckily, I'm a berserker, so things like clots can't grab me. So I can get out of the nonsense that they tend to, you know, and the clots tend to put you in. Like, if I was, for example, my friend Jason, a pyro, or, I believe they're called firebugs. Yeah, firebug in this. My bad. 4 years, or 3 years, technically, I've played this. Can you tell? But, if I was a firebug, or even just any other class, really, other than the berserker, a clot could get me trapped in there. It could be wave 7. Flesh pounds should come over, and I'm fucked. There's no way I'm getting out of that. Or even worse, I'm demolition. Like, I look here for like 5 seconds, like, ooh, did I go in there? And then I actually try going forward, and I realize, oh, fuck. Then I turn around, boom, flesh pound and shit there. I'm fucked. Because if I try shooting my demolition weapon, I've just blown myself up. So, I feel that's a little bit of an assholey move, obviously. I know the guy, that's mean. That's mean. I don't mean it like that. What I mean by that is, you know my stance on invisible walls. It's not really, it might not necessarily be intentional, but it can really be it really burns if you die that way. And in honesty, I kind of feel it's almost lazy on the developer's part. Not necessarily talking about this developer. I've talked about invisible walls multiple times. But I feel it's lazy on a developer to not, I keep saying developer. I really need to go back to saying map maker. I don't know what it is. I've been too into watching and just kind of playing other games. But anyway, God. I lost it for a second. Okay. So what I meant is, oh fuck. So yeah, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. I literally forgot mid-sentence what I was saying. For some reason, my brain literally just went blank. That's never happened in my life. That's a little bit scary. But anyway, what I was saying is, I feel it's a little lazy because you tease a really cool feature, like, ooh, look at all this cool stuff out there, and then, you're fucked. You're fucked. You're not getting in there. Ha kind of situation. Like, it's just not happening. But obviously, it could. You've obviously teased it with a little bit of extra work, maybe like, I don't know, however long it takes you to normally do just an area. It would probably take you that long. So, on that part, I feel it's a little lazy on map makers that make this stuff, but it is what it is. I know they're always going to exist for whatever reason. There's tons of justifications for it sometimes. I've heard the most legitimate justification I've ever heard for invisible walls or just making maps smaller is the Steam Workshop file limit. And to be fair, I fully understand that. But to be honest, if you're trying to make a big kind of thing like this, it's always good to maybe, like, if I were to make a thing, and I might even one day, just a little teaser, I've already said this, I've said this a million times, I might make one day, but, if I was going to make a Killing Floor map, I'd put, like, a kind of teaser on the Steam Workshop page, if that made sense. And the full game, or the full map would be available to download by Dropbox or something, some way, so that there is no limitations on my map. There is no, problem with my map. But at the same time, it still has a presence in, it still has a presence on Steam itself. So I still get, what's the word I'm looking for? What is the word I'm looking for? I am a mess. I'm so sorry. But the word I think I'm looking for here would be the exposure. That's right. The word I'm looking for here is the exposure. I would get the Steam exposure still, but also still not have the limitations of file size on my map. To be fair, the last time I heard that criticism was a long time ago. I don't know if it's gotten better or worse with the file limits. I highly doubt it, to be honest, just because of how Steam works. But it could be. They might have done better, but I'm not making maps, so I wouldn't know. All I know is, personally, if there was any limitation ever set to me by a site, I would have a teaser type situation going, and then the full version going on another map. And I would highly actually recommend other map makers and other people to follow suit. Like, if it's something, like, what I mean by a trailer is, I'm talking specifically KFO. If I'm talking a map like this, have a lesser graphics thing on here and then a higher graphics thing on other maps. Or possibly even just a condensed version. I don't know. I'm just giving you ideas. What I find weird, though, is I think I hear them fighting out there. Yeah, they're literally, I think some of them are bugged out there, and they're literally fighting outside of the map. That's brilliant. Okay, then. So, that's going to be a problem. We might not even be able to continue. We'll see. Let me make this a quick clip highlight. Alright, we're back. Sorry. I'm going to do that. I should just stop apologizing. That's just kind of my nature. I'm sorry. And I did it again! Fuck! Alright, well, fuck it. We're just gonna pretend. We're just gonna pretend that I'm not saying I'm sorry every 5 seconds. Because, yeah. But anyway, we've addressed most of it. Obviously, there is something out there. Like, something's going on out there. They're just going for the wall at this point. They're just going for the wall. What is even screaming at this point? What happened? Why are they so bugged? Where are they even going? What the f? Okay, sorry, I did it again because I made a clip. But the reason I'm saying sorry is because there's a huge jump cut, because perhaps is weird when it records and sometimes it bugs. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know what the hell they were doing. They finally got on me. It took like 10 seconds. He didn't miss much. It was just a quick thing, so I remember in my review to point it out. But yeah. Lovely stuff going on here. Anyway. Now, the actual structures itself, here's where we have a thing too. First and most importantly, let's go into this. Buzzsaw bow, actual thing with weapon ammo, yay. So, let's just be 100% candid with this. This guy is clearly a beginner. And because I've looked, he only has like 2 things on this thing, and just judging by his comment on his page, I'm pretty sure he's new to this kind of stuff. I'm not sure if he's new to the entire field, but he might be new to this stuff, period. But what I'm going to definitely say is, and just being 100% honest, these buildings look like, I'm sorry, something probably me or one of my friends could build in Minecraft, okay? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being honest. This thing is literally just a square. It is literally just a square, basically. Or maybe a rectangle. One of those shapes. If you want to really argue about it. But you get my point. It's the shape. That's all it really is. There's not much really to them. Like, some of that stuff, like, obviously that's kind of stuff, like the bridge and stuff, that looks cool. And that one, internally, that one building we were in earlier, with all the corridors and stuff, that looks cool, too. But outside, architecturally, not so much. Not so much. Not the prettiest of sights. Just enough further out there. Might want to work on that. Now, obviously, as I said to map makers in the past, if you feel that's the best you can do, if you have friends that are good at designing things, or hell, if you have some money on you and you truly take this stuff seriously, pay someone to do this. Or if you have friends, ask them. Maybe they'll be nice enough and do it for free. I know I do shit for free for my friends all the time. So, that's my stance on that. This bridge is ridiculous, by the way. I was just praising it, but when I think about it, look how long we've been running. What the fuck? What is this? Connection lost. Retry. Wow. Do I even need to say anything about that? Design-wise. It's cool. It's definitely... Here's the thing, alright? It doesn't look the best, but I can definitely now conclude that this is definitely original assets. Some of this stuff, anyway, is definitely original assets. So props to that. At least you gave it a shot. For that, you deserve some respect. Yeah, look how ridiculous this map is. We could be running for ages. So obviously, this is unfortunately another one of those maps where I can say it's way too easy. Perhaps not in the below areas, it's a little bit, you know, easier. But when you look at, say, look how far away they are, I think we have a pretty sound argument when we say, little bit too easy. Now, to be fair, we are berserkers, so obviously we're a little faster. But all someone would have to do, honestly, is pull out their knife and they'd already be faster than the Zeds. So that really isn't a good defense, in my opinion. So, yeah. I hear stalkers or something, possibly bugged. I don't even know. It's weird, because I think I'm actually wrong. I don't think there was actually something outside there. My bad. There's just something weird about the audio. Or maybe I was right. Maybe there is something down there. No, there is. I hear it. I thought it was the stuff in front of us, but no. It's not. Never mind. Okay. Alright, so let's go over here. Get down to the trailer. Even these stairs are a little bit weird, if I'm being honest. Like, they're cool, but I don't know. It almost feels like they're a little bit too, blended in, almost. If that makes sense. You can definitely see the texture's been blended almost into them, so. But hey, original assets, give them props. I mean, this isn't a full game or anything, it is just a mod. That's why a lot of these times I don't give them too harsh of a score, but hey. But this one might get a little bit of a lower score, depending. Just because of certain things, obviously, that I've already pointed out. Another thing I'm going to point out now, though, is these rots. It's one... Let me put it to you this way. Spawns need to make some sense. Like, are things beaming down from the sky? Is that the impression you're trying to give? And they just coincidentally are beaming down onto the rots? Like, first of all, just look how long we've survived. This is the big problem. Probably should consider doing something about that. But, the thing I was trying to say is, it's one thing to know where things spawn, but it's another to literally, like, be able to almost pinpoint it for miles like this. Like, you can tell almost where they're going to come in. So you might want to fix that. You might want to make it less apparent where they're going to spawn. Just for the most part, they're all spawning on rots. Like, I kind of can see why you did it. Like, from, as I said, a writer's standpoint, and a guy who's worked in these kind of things behind the scenes all the time myself. I get why you did it. It's a good placeholder. Like, you can see, oh, I'm definitely going to put a spawn here. But from a player perspective, I'm gonna know where the hell they spawn. You just get a demolition guy, and then you just fucking stay a certain distance away from the rots, and then you instantly spawn kill all of them. At least unless it's a flesh pound, in which case it might take like 1 or 2 shots. But still, you get my point. It's an easy kill. So you might want to make the... You might want to get rid of some of the rots. I know you're trying to go for a, I believe the word is plainsy or arid feel. I know plainsy isn't a real word. Like that. What is that? Seriously. You can clearly tell where they're going to spawn for the most part. Like, some of them I think I see are spawning on the grass, and that's better. But at the same time, I got here a little later, so it's hard to say for sure. Like, basically what I'm saying is make the spawns less known, or if you're going to make them so known, at least kind of put a design behind them, if that made sense. Some kind of design. Like, I know some of the original Killing Floor maps, like, they have, like, a little... For the spider spawns, they may have a, little tunnel that only they could crawl through. Like, I've seen that on some maps in the original Killing Floor, and sometimes even in custom maps, they've done stuff like that. So, I think that would be a way to really address that. But, for the most part, the spawn thing isn't really a major issue to me, honestly. It's a slight issue, because it looks a little bit, well, bad, to be honest, in just a word, because of the fact that, as I explained, it can objectively make things a little easier, because you can get the general gist. You definitely know your thought process, so you might want to fix that. But, oh god, flesh pound somewhere. Where is he? 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 Something weird with the audio on this map, too. Like, I swear to god, I thought I heard him up, but he was actually directly in front of us. So, I don't know what that was about. But anyway, another way you could potentially fix that problem that I was just talking about is to, possibly, and this is, I've already kind of talked about this, like, it goes along with redesigning, basically redesign the spawns entirely, or even just get rid of the rots, really, like I said. Just make it part of the grass. So, obviously, that way it's not as easy to tell where things are. Or just move the spawns, period, so they spawn in the grass, so it's not as easy to tell. To be honest, some of those maps of the tunnels and stuff, I honestly think is still too easy in itself, because you could just wait at that spot and just barricade it or do something to kind of just camp the enemies down. So honestly, I think you'd be above and beyond if you put it in the grass, or just somewhere randomer, so you can't really tell where they're spawning, if that makes sense. Because there's a lot you can do to this map with the software that they give you for this kind of stuff. Hello. Should I? Yeah, fuck it, why not? We got plenty of money. So, I'm almost tempted to switch soon, but by switch, I mean switch to another class and just die early, because we've seen the general gist of this map, and I feel some of you might be getting a little bored, but I don't know. I'm still kind of finding things to talk about here and ways you could potentially improve your maps. I don't know. I'm still debating it, honestly. But, like, I'm looking. I think we've mostly seen everything, so for the most part, we're going to switch into ramble mode. Like, there's one more thing I want to... You know what, fuck it. There's one more thing I want to touch on. I mean, I've touched this, but I just want to reiterate this. Like I said... Oh, wait, we need to get ammo. Shit. That could have been bad. No, that was not intentional. I legit forgot. My bad. And that's just random. That stuff down there is just random, but okay. I'm not even going to question the gnomes. I don't know if that's like... well, actually, there's a lot of copyright stuff over there, so that's brilliant. But, I want to touch on, again, just want to reiterate this. Some of these designs are not terrible for the outside. Like, that bridge and stuff, that's cool. That makes sense. But it still kind of feels a little basic. But this kind of stuff, like, the room itself, the shape of the room feels a little basic, if that makes sense. But the actual design and stuff looks pretty nice, not gonna lie. It looks pretty damn cool in here. I like what I'm seeing. So, I don't know, maybe make the... You have to understand, just because something looks like something on the inside does not mean it has to look like it on the outside. Like, that is just something I've learned architecturally from Minecraft, of all things. There's plenty of things you can do to change the outside appearance of something to make it look less bland. And make it look more cool, like a natural structure kind of thing. Like, look at even real houses. Like, when you look at the actual internals of a real house, it doesn't look as, like, for example, my house is not a giant fucking cube. Or my house is not an octagon, because that's basically what that is over there, I think, an octagon. Or it's not a rectangle, it's a house. It looks more, there's curves, there's design, there's more to it. I'm pretty sure you get what I'm going with by now. But yeah, that was the last thing I really want to talk about, unless I can find something else. Other than the clear buds as well. That's another thing that's gonna, I'm sorry, probably lower your score to not the best in the world. There's definitely some clear pathing issues and whatnot, so... yeah. I think that's all we're gonna really address. I think that's mainly all I really can address at this point for this long in the map. So we're probably gonna switch into more of a rambling mode. So Map Maker, if you've watched this far... you probably should just skip to where I die, because that's where I'll give my general overview, address you directly, and a bunch of other things. So, yeah. Or if you just fucking hate me, which some people actually do, which is perfectly fine. Some people cannot take criticism at all. But, if you can't deal with it, fine. Don't. That's that. But I'm just trying to help you out here. I'm trying to show you ways you can potentially improve your map. But anyway, so here we are with another situation where I should probably, let's make this a clip. 1 sec. And I just said literally leave Map Maker. That's the funny thing. And here we are with another bug. There is no trader. There's no way to access anything. I cannot get any weapons. There is no way to get to it. We're just fucked. So that's just fantastic. So, oh well. Sorry about that major stuttering there. I don't know what that was about. There's something weird about this map, too, and pretty sure it's not my computer, either. It's just something, because my computers run plenty of other maps just fine, so that's why I'm saying that, but, something's weird with the map, in the sense that, for some reason, a lot of, it almost is, it's running weird, if that makes sense. Like, there's been quite a little bit of stuttering, at least in the beginning, but then again, I am recording, too, so it is external pressure, and I have a good computer, but I don't say have TB's computer, or Jim Sterling, or any video game reviewer's computer. I wish I did. I just don't have the financial backing to really do that at the moment, as I am, well, to be honest, I haven't even gone to college yet. I just graduated this year from high school, so I might get there one day. So, you might be able to defend yourself saying, and I died there legitimately because I had no ammo. That can be objectively argued, so thanks for that bug. This is why bugs can be a problem. But, I can't necessarily objectively say that the map is destroying my frame rate, or if it's quite literally my computer. So I'm not going to put that on you. But, yeah, hopefully you didn't actually leave, because I had some things to address, after all. So, anyway. Now, before we continue our normal talk, before we do all that, I'm going to put up this Map Maker's comment, and we're going to address it in detail. Right, so here is the developer's comment, Cookiecrisp comment. So I'm going to read it out to you, and as I read it, I'm going to delve into, because as you can see, I've specifically underlined some things in red terribly, I know, but I underlined it regardless. And when I get to those points, I'll address why there might be a problem with this. So let's right off the bat, let's start. I would just like to say a few things before you guys start wait, one more thing, I'm so sorry. For those of you who are not aware of Steam's forum pages, top is actually after, if you can't also read, no offense, but if you can't see the little timestamps. The bottom is first, and then the top is after, for those of you who couldn't tell, because Steam is different than most social media and whatnot. But anyway, let's go right back into that. I'm so sorry about that. I just would like to say a few things before you guys start saying 1,000 things wrong with my map. So, how do I word this? You don't want to say this, and I can't really touch on this one very much in detail without getting to the end, because I have something really big I really need to say at the end of this, and that kind of goes along with this. So, I'm going to leave that one for now. But this is the most important, the most important thing to what I'm about to say at the end. But anyway, I know the lighting is not well. I kept rebuilding and trying to get it to work correctly. Add the sunlight actor, make a trigger light to be the sun as well as a normal light. Both made a huge shadow under them. None of them worked. So then I used a few huge lights around where the sun was, and they made it a bit too bright. Zones info keep getting in the way as well, but they proved less of a challenge when it came to setting the mood. My friend mentioned... Okay, so let's stop there. Alright, so here is a problem that you need to understand right now, okay? My friend mentioned. See, as a writer, and obviously, as probably since you're starting out to this, you're not going to have many people to kind of give you criticism. But that cannot be argued in your case, by the way, because here I am. But in my case, I can actually say that I am in a situation where I'm a very small writer. I don't get much. I get views, I get definite clicks, and I get definite retention, because I've looked at statistics, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because of just the nature of what I do, but people don't tend to be very talkative, and that's not necessarily my channel. I've seen that on quite a few channels, unless it turns out secretly these people were actually their friends. So here's the thing, all right? In your case, since you're smaller, I more understand where you're coming from, saying your friend helped influence your map in some kind of way. But my thing is, from what I'm about to read next, it almost makes it sound like essentially you let him run your map rather than you take his opinion with a grain of salt. You never want to ever let one external person at that, decide everything that happens in your, whatever your creative thing is, whether it be music, whether it be map making, whether it be modding, whether it be anything creative. You never want a single person, because you say friend too, that's another important thing. It's one thing that your friend criticized you and you did so much with that criticism, but you never want one single person alone to influence you that much when it comes to this stuff, unless, say, he's part of the team, if that made sense. Like, if this guy, because I thought I saw that this map was actually made by 2 people, but you're like the main guy. If he's part of the team, that makes a little bit more sense, but you just say friend here. You don't say, I don't know, there's plenty of other words, like, person who helped me, I don't know, better words. You can think of a million other words, I'm sure. You're a writer, for God's sake. I'm just doing this on the spot. I'm a writer, not really necessarily the best speaker, I know. But, yeah, I feel should be a little bit more careful with that in the future, because, to be fair, I didn't necessarily see what the problem was, other than that one lighting issue, where literally the clots were invisible on that one spot. But anyway, you get my point. Never let one person, not even me, wholly decide your map. Always take what we're saying with a grain of salt. And I'll expand on that later past this comment point, because I always give it a little disclaimer to any map maker whose map I've never played before. Like, basically anyone I'm new with. Like, for example, new with you. But anyway, back to where we were. My friend mentioned how the sun did not make the whole room foggy and dark, so I removed the fog and brightened it a bit. Mistake? Maybe. But at least you can see the stalker coming from a mile away. So, I really didn't see any problems with it, lighting-wise, other than the fact that I couldn't see the clock. But anyway, another thing is music. Okay, so I did not even know this game had actual music. Some developers really don't, so that's fair. So I will add, I said developer again, map maker. So I will add some if needed. It is needed. That I can objectively say that is needed. I felt myself going. I have to kind of force myself to keep talking, if that made sense. Like, you want music so you can keep people entertained, kind of keep them in a fighting mode, if that made sense, because this is an FPS after all. But anyway, so yeah, it is needed. I will add some if needed. Now that I am done with my ramblings, if you want me to fit something, I will try before school starts. Happy killing. Okay, so I only highlighted before school starts because I do want to make this a point. I don't know your age. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying here or misconstrue what I'm saying to anyone. But if you're a kid necessarily, like if you have school, I get that. That is definitely a time constraint. And I hope, like, by school, I don't know if you mean college. This is why I don't know your age. Or if you mean literally, like, high school, middle, fuck. Hopefully not primary, because you talk really well for primary. But, basically, what I'm trying to say is, I hope that this isn't too much. Like, I'm not trying to scare you here with all of this. It's just, I treat all of this how I would treat anyone. I don't give special favors, really. I don't tend to do something different just because somebody else made the map, if that made sense. Like, for example, if there's a 22-year-old and there's a 14-year-old, I will be as harsh on both of them. Definitively by their product, not by who they are, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So, what I'm trying to say here, basically, is, I hope I'm not being too scary to you. I'm not trying to, this isn't part of the actual criticism. This is literally me talking to you, Map Maker. I hope I'm not scaring you with all of this stuff, because I know there is a lot. This is a long video, and there's a lot I'm talking about, but I'm just treating you how I would treat anyone. So anyway, the second comment says, also found out there was a floating piece of grass near the bathroom. I didn't see it. If you want it removed, just ask. All right. So here is my overall thing I wanted to say since the beginning. And now that we've read all that, I think I just really need to say this. This is more of just a creative thing that... This has become a problem in the Greenlight community. Jim Sterling has covered this really well. They tend to put incomplete products onto Steam Greenlight. And I know these are completely different circumstances, but I'm just using it as a comparison, if that made sense. People will put unfinished things onto, say, Steam Greenlight and say, well, it's in the process of being made. Obviously, there's going to be things changed and all that stuff, right? Here is the thing. You never want to put, and I'm going to give you an argument, I'm going to add evidence to this. You never want to put something that you feel is incomplete, especially since you addressed it with this long of a comment, anywhere. You don't want to put it anywhere. You always, in writing, in art, in anything, need to go and test things, or in the writing's case, proofreading, basically the second phase, if that made sense. You need to do more than just make something and then just be done with it. You need to extensively look at it, whatever that work may be, extensively check it. You gotta do a bunch of things. You can't just put something up and then be like, I put something up, and expect to essentially be looked at as better, or, to be honest, even be a good map, if that made sense. But on top of that, the issue here is, quite literally by your second comment, and by the fact that you quite literally admit to there being a lack of music, you have literally admitted that you have uploaded a incomplete map to Steam without even saying something like beta or work in progress. So I have to judge this as if this is a fully completed map, that this is done. That's it. And judging by the language you're using in your comments, such as if you want it removed, I would say yes, this is a complete product, which means you have put this out as is, and this map is done. This is not a beta, this is not a work in progress, it is done. That is never good when you do that. When you know there is a problem, and you even make a lengthy description explaining said problem, but you... Sorry, burp. Wow. But if you fail to address said problem, do you not see the overall problem with this? Obviously, people will hate on or harshly criticize your map. You need to always finish your map, or at least get it to a good state. See, here's the thing about uploading to Steam or anywhere. You always need it finished before you do that. Like, beta doesn't mean, oh, it's there's barely anything here. That's not what fucking beta or alpha or work in progress means. What that means is, here's something I put out. I put a lot of work into it. Now, I want criticism. Please see what I have. Help me improve my map, basically, if that made sense. So, for example, let's look at a really good example. Would probably be the Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, right? Obviously, there was a big thing back then. Scott Cawthorn made a thing. Jim Sterling hated it. And Scott took the game down and he started something new. But the thing about that game was that game had work in it. That game wasn't just something that Scott, just using him as an example, that Scott just put up and said, it's incomplete, but here you go. You can download it and test it. That's not what it was. See, you need to make sure everything is as perfect as possible before you put something out for alpha, beta, or work in progress, unless the entire map is like, I don't know, an experiment or something, because then that would make a little bit more sense. Because if you don't do that, then you run into a situation like your situation, where now, I'm sorry to say it, you kind of look bad. It doesn't really help your credibility when you literally say, if you want it removed. It should just be removed if you know there's something out of place on the map. It should just be done. Somebody shouldn't have to request it. It should just be done. It's that simple. Does that make sense? I hope so. I hope I got my point across. So, we're going to switch back to normal view now. 1 second. Alright guys, so now we're back to the normal thing. So now, let's officially address everything. The overall, the scoring, and whatnot. So the map itself was not terrible. Played okay. There were some definitive and definite bugs there. Definite problems. But it didn't look terrible. Like, it looked bland. But you could tell there was clear work in it. Despite you literally admitting to being a little bit lazy there. But at the same time, it's run into problems that we've always encountered in previous maps. Things like, for example, it's way too big. Like, it's one thing to be a big map, but then if you don't somehow organize that space, like, for example, maps like, I believe it was called Death Valley. Yeah, Death Valley. That's a really good example. Like, yes, sometimes it took the Zeds a little longer to get to us. That is true. But there was stuff to stop the Zeds, or stop us from necessarily getting away from the Zeds, whether it be spawning better, just ways. There's many ways you could go about it. Like, I don't know, maybe you could, like I said, spread out the spawns a little more so they don't just tend to spawn in the most random of not random, that's the opposite. They want to be random. Ordered places that you can generically tell where they're going to come from, and they can just run far as fuck away. You might want to think of a way to fix that. Like, the spawning is a definite problem. But the problem is, this map was littered with bugs, clearly. We've encountered probably 3 to 4. Mostly, some of them were repeating bugs, but they were bugs regardless. Whether they be pathing, trader, and all that. You might want to fix that. I'm trying to think of a score and what else to really address. There's not much I can really address left with this. I think I just should go straight to my score, and this is a complicated one for me, to be honest, because during this entire thing, there's just been so much to critique here that I haven't really had time in my head for a number specifically to stick there. And that's not necessarily a good thing. That's really not. Rarely is that ever a good thing in my case. So, giving it thought, I think I have no choice. I'm gonna have to give this a... thinking. I'm gonna give it a 5 or 10, because it just... when I think about it, it's not as bad as Stairway to Zeds. The map was correct. The naming was correct. There was some definite work there. There was definitely a good story aspect. The issue was the theme, the designs, a lot of things about it were just kind of down there. It would definitely be considered a more mediocre map or a more amateur map. But to be fair, you, judging by what I've seen, not by your map, but I mean quite literally your Steam thing, you are that level. So... but then again, the issue is, and as I stated, you did not say this is a work in progress. You did not say this was an alpha. You did not say this was a beta. You did not establish that. So therefore, I have to assume this map is complete, that this map will not change unless somebody like me comes along and says something. And honestly, that might very well have unfortunately been true, and that is not the right way you go about this. A map shouldn't just be, okay, it's done, and then you just throw it out there. There's work that needs to be put into it. And that work can be involved with, say, making it an alpha or a beta, so people can give you feedback, so you can improve it before you decide, okay, it's finished. You have to put work into this stuff. Obviously, you don't have to, because some people just don't give a fuck. That is a very valid point. But for people like me, whose job it is to review your maps, I'm not going to give you the best score unless you put work into it. That's just a fact. So, if you want a better score, put more work into this, fix it, you might get a better score. Request me to do this map again, and I will do so. If you don't want to do that, and you want to move on to better and bigger projects, by all means, go for it. This is where I get into my disclaimer. We've never met before, Mapmaker, so I'm one guy on the internet, as I explained previously. I'm just one guy on the internet. Take my criticism with a grain of salt. I'm not out to get you. I honestly do this because I want to improve what I am playing myself. I want to help your map improve. I want you to get to the front page or close to it. I want you to improve. I want you to get better. I want to see things that are cool and, you know, more people playing it, if that makes sense. So I'm not out to get you. I'm doing this because I care. Believe it or not, I care. I just am very candid with my stances, and honestly, I feel that is the best way to go about things. I'm not here to give you a hug and say, there, and make you feel better. My job is to hopefully, in some way, positively improve the improvements of your maps, or this map specifically, or sometimes, in some cases, your future maps. So, I hope you understand that. I hope you don't feel offended, scared, or any of that by this giant video. This was not a personal attack against you, and yeah. But anyway, now, talking to my general audience, thank you so much for watching, guys. This has been Xel'crin, and I will see you in the next video, stream, or wherever the fuck you find me. Bye, guys.